We talk about free-to-play games all the time in this channel, and today it's time to show some love to third-person shooters. So in this video I picked 10 of the best free-to-play third-person shooter games you can play right now in 2026, including 2 bonus games as well, so a total of 12 games here, ranging from tactical team-based shooters, battle royales, fast-paced actions, and some massive multiplayer experiences. And every game on the list today is 100% free-to-play. You can simply go ahead and download them right now on Steam. Alright, I'm gonna start with a couple of bonus games that I really wanted to mention today that is not in our top 10 list. So first off, we have a game called Arcadegeddon. This one is a free-to-play, super colorful punk rock style roguelike shooter where you fight in to save the last local arcade from an evil mega corporation. This one was initially launched as a paid title with a premium price tag, but recently, last year, the game went free-to-play, so it's a bit of an underrated title at the moment. The gameplay loop is actually a blast to play. You run and gun through different biomes, find hidden loot chests, take out bosses, and even compete in mid-run mini-games. You can play the game completely single-player, but it's heavily designed to play up to 4 players on online co-op, and it even has some PvP modes mixed in. Alright, talking about the current state of the game in 2026, honestly this is not a very popular game at the moment. The Steam chart shows only averaging about 15 to 30 players daily, but the people who actually played it seems to really enjoy it according to some of the recent Steam reviews. But obviously it's a game that you can play single player or with your friends on online co-op, so as long as you can bring a couple of your friends with you, you can download it free and try it out on a casual weekend or a co-op party night. You're gonna have an absolutely fun time with this one. Alright, talking about third-person shooters, we got a bit of an older game that going under a lot of people's radar right now, and that is Rogue Company. It's a free-to-play 4v4 multiplayer hero shooter that plays like a fast-paced third-person version of a Valorant or Counter-Strike. It's more like a round-based objective style of a game where you have to buy weapons, gadgets, and abilities between rounds. The game is entirely focused on PvP multiplayer, so having a healthy player count is really important to play the game in 2026. Just because of that, I just downloaded the game to try it out myself. And surprisingly, the multiplayer is still alive in 2026. The game doesn't have like a massive player count at the moment, only have about 250 to 350 concurrent players on Steam. Yes, it took me some time to jump into a game, but I was able to play most of the game modes without any issues. But to be honest, the game is pretty much on live support now, meaning if you're looking for something to jump in and grind ranks and go higher up on the leaderboard, this is probably not the game for you. But if you want to try out something casually for free, this is not a bad option to try out in 2026. Alright, now we are moving on to the top 10 list, starting with Off the Grid. It's a free-to-play, futuristic, sci-fi, cyberpunk-style battle royale and an extraction shooter where you play as this cybernetically enhanced mercenary dropping into this televised blood sport. I remember this one generated tons of hype before the launch, but when it came out, it had tons of issues as well. And at launch, it was only available on the Epic Game Store, but obviously now they released the game on Steam as well. One of the biggest selling point of this game is the movement. You get advanced jetpacks for crazy aerial maneuvers, verticality, you can shoot off and loot enemy cybernetic limbs and swap out your own loadout mid-match. So it got some very unique gameplay mechanics, but talking about the current state of the game in 2026, it's a bit of a letdown in my opinion. Right now the game seems to have a very healthy 10,000 concurrent players on Steam, but I have seen a lot of people complaining about having a lot of AI bots in their lobbies. Plus I wasn't a big fan of the monetization system in the game. Even at launch, it was heavily built around hidden Web3 crypto and NFT economy. That means the in-game economy feels like a bit of a grind, specifically push you to spend money in the game. It feels like a cool concept and had a lot to offer, but it's hard to recommend in 2026. That's the only reason why I put this one at number 10. Alright, moving on, next up we have The First Descendant. When this game dropped back in the summer 2024, it was absolutely massive, pulling off over like a 250,000 concurrent players at the time. It was gorgeous, Unreal Engine 5 looter shooter where you play as these super-powered descendants fight for the survival of humanity. While you can run around solo and play the game entirely by yourself, but the entire game is built around 4-player online co-op, especially when it comes to these massive Destiny-style raids with huge boss fights. But fast forward to 2026, the honeymoon period is definitely over for this game. The player base has kind of dialed down. These days is hanging around 4,000 to 7,000 concurrent players depending on the time of the day, plus the overall Steam reviews right now sitting on mixed category. And that is mainly because the progression in the game feels like a massive grind. A lot of people who played the game at launch complained that the game borrowed heavily from games like Destiny and Warframe, but buries its base progression behind massive convoluted system that designed to push you to spend money on their in-game in-game store. So would I recommend this game in 2026? Yes, but you have to approach with a bit of caution. If you're just looking for a fun co-op third-person looter shooter to jump in with your friends, I'm sure you're gonna have a good time playing this one. But if you're looking for a deep, rewarding, long-term, like a respect your time kind of game, this is not the game. There are a lot better options on the market. Alright, let's say if you have a low specs potato PC in 2026 and also like anime style shooters, Trinova is a must play game for you. It's an anime style 5v5 tactical hero shooter but has that crazy gameplay gimmick called stringification. That means you basically can seamlessly switch between your character in standard 3D and completely fat paper like 2D. In 2D position you can stick to walls, glide over gaps and make your hitbox incredibly thin to dodge bullets while reloading. It got tight gunplay and the character designs and the art style looks pretty good, and it's purely a competitive multiplayer game with mods like Demolition and Escort. In 2026, I would say the game is doing okay at the moment, but considering this is a PvP multiplayer game, the online concurrent player count it's a bit towards on the lower side, only around 2500 daily concurrent players, so the matchmaking can be a hit or miss. It may take around 5 to 10 minutes to jump into a match, especially on the rank mode, and sometimes get forced to jump into matches with bots, which is pretty common these days, but something to keep in mind. The only thing that I personally don't like about this game is the anime characters and the art style. I'm not much into anime, that's the only reason why. Other than that, it's a pretty solid game with some very unique mechanics, plus it will also run on any kind of potato PC without much of an issue. If you ever wanted to pilot a giant, fully customizable mech and absolutely level a city block, this is the game for you, and it is called Mecha Break. Mecha Break is an insanely fast, high mobility sci-fi third-person shooter that mixes both ground and aerial combat. You can dodge missiles in mid-air and pull out massive laser swords for close quarter combats, or even hang back and use a heavy sniper rifle. It's all up to you. It's an entirely multiplayer focused game with some serious variety. Of course, you can jump into that 6v6 objective mode, which is the most popular one, or the smaller 3v3 deathmatch arena style of mode, and even comes with a massive PvP and PvE extraction mode which you can jump in with your friends on co-op. So as of right now in 2026, the game is pretty stable but much more quieter compared to its massive launch in mid 2025. The player count has kind of cooled down a little bit, right now having about 2000 daily concurrent players on Steam. Of course, it's not massively popular at the moment, but you can jump into most of the multiplayer modes without any issues. So download, try it out for yourself. It is totally free on Steam. Caliber is another very underrated third-person shooter that's one of my favorite on the list today. It's a tactical team-based online shooter that focuses heavily on playing as different global special force operators. It's a bit slower and more methodical than your run-and-gun shooter. It feels like a bit of a mix of Rainbow Six Siege and also a bit of Division. You got both PvP, PvE, even dedicated co-op modes depending on what you like to play, so there's a good amount of variety here. It is obviously not a massively popular game on the Steam at the moment. It's definitely on the smaller, more niche side, but there is a pretty active, dedicated community behind the game who play this game every single day, and the developers are also pretty active supporting the game, adding new stuff, new updates, new events to the game, which is really cool. By far the biggest complaint is the grind that you have to do to unlock some of these operators, which is not pay to win by any means. You can unlock everything just by playing the game, but it's gonna take some time obviously. It's definitely one of the best and more realistic looking third-person tactical shooters you can jump in. It is totally free to play right now on PC on Steam. Alright, moving on to number 5, we get one of the biggest surprises of 2026, and that is the Division Resurgence. This one originally built as a free-to-play mobile game that launched in March 2026, but Ubisoft decided to bring it back to the PC using the Ubisoft Connect launcher, and that is where you can download it right now for totally free. Gameplay-wise, man, this is classic Division. It's a third-person looter shooter set in this post-pandemic New York City, where you play as an agent trying to restore order while fighting hostile factions across the city. So if you ever played Division or Division 2, you will feel right at home. The game includes story missions, open world activities, PvE content, co-op missions, even a franchise famous Dark Zone where PvP and PvE collide in high-risk loot runs. Even though it's a mobile-based spin-off, visually the game looks pretty good in my opinion. As I said, it is totally free to play, available right now to download from their Ubisoft Connect launcher, and as far as I know, the Steam version is also coming up very soon. Alright, moving on to a massively popular competitive title that need no introduction, and that is Marvel Rivals. And this one launched back in December 2024 and absolutely took the hero genre by storm. It's a 6v6 team-based PvP shooter that feels heavily inspired by Overwatch but played more in a third-person perspective with a massive roster of Marvel heroes and villains. The standout feature is obviously the competitive gameplay, destructible maps, and this unique team-up mechanic where you can literally combine different abilities of different agents to do massive amount of damage. It's obviously one of the most popular games on our list today, still doing huge numbers on Steam. If you're into competitive hero style third-person shooters, this one is one of the best on the market and I'm sure you're already playing it by now. Alright, moving on at number 3, we got Warframe. And it is one of those games that have been around for years, but somehow it just keeps getting better and better with each and every update. It is a fast-paced sci-fi looter shooter where you play as these space ninjas called Warframes, each with their own abilities and playstyles. Gameplay wise, man, it's insanely smooth and satisfying. You're sliding, bullet jumping, wall running, slicing through enemies. It is mission based but also has open world areas, story quest, co-op play, an insane amount of content and variety, and it can be a bit overwhelming at first, especially if you're jumping as a beginner for the very first time, but obviously in a good way. An amount of content here is something you would normally expect from a full price AAA title, and the game's still going very strong, more than 10 years on the market, so you know the game is pretty good. So I would 100% recommend this game in 2026. When we make a video talking about third-person shooter games, there's a massively popular title that we cannot forget about, and that is none other than Fortnite. Obviously, Fortnite's Battle Royale mode is one of the most popular game modes in the world, so I don't really have to explain too much. People are already playing it, but a lot of people actually don't know that the Fortnite Save the World, which is their co-op, more like a tower defense style of mode, that also went free to play a couple of months ago. And obviously, this is the mode that literally started Fortnite before the Battle Royale took over the universe. It was originally a tower defense style co-op PvE campaign. You can squad up with up to 3 of your friends, build massive forts, craft weapons, and hold off relentless waves of monsters known as husks. And for years, man, this mode sat quietly in the background behind a paywall, so it was a bit of an underrated mode that a lot of people haven't tried before. But now it's officially free to play across all platforms, meaning everybody can jump in and try it out for absolutely free. Obviously, we can't talk about Fortnite without mentioning the Battle Royale mode. Insanely popular, consistently pulling around 1.3 million daily concurrent players, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I would say all credit goes to the developers for keeping the game fresh, adding new maps, new changes, new events, seasonal content, just to keep the gameplay look fresh. Alright, at number 1 spot, we got obviously PUBG Battlegrounds, one of my favorite multiplayer games of all time. It's one of those battle royale games that keep getting better and better with each and every update, and having about 800,000 players playing it every single day on Steam. And obviously, you can play PUBG in both first person and third person perspective, and the third person mode is obviously the most popular one among worldwide, but I would personally prefer the first person mode because of PUBG's authentic, realistic gunplay. PUBG is much more tactical, much more slower compared to pretty much any other battle royale on the market. Even after all the changes, all the new stuff that they add to the game over the years, the core battle royale gameplay hasn't really changed, which is one of the reasons why that I feel like a lot of people keep coming back to play PUBG. The gunplay is still top tier and got that intense gameplay loop, plus the optimization is much better now in 2026. And since the game went completely free to play back in 2022, it holding on to extremely steady concurrent play count on Steam, and without a doubt, it's one of the most popular games on the market. Well, there you have it, guys. These are some of the coolest, most popular, free-to-play third-person shooter games you can play right now in 2026. But somehow, if I missed any good ones, any popular ones, let me know down in the comment section. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more free-to-play game coverage like this. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.